Tony Robbins said, like, belief is like a table, and you got to start with 4 legs, and sort of you get one experience, and you build that first leg, and you go, oh, okay, well maybe there's something here. You get that second leg, and you go, oh, something's happening, until you get those sort of, experience builds upon experience to the point where you go, I'm all right at this. I think belief is key for anything you want to achieve, as you would attest to as well. And I also think that's the hardest thing for people to nail.
Welcome to the M26 FIT Podcast, where we explore the connection between having a strong mind and a strong body. All right, today's special guest is Chris Parsons, Channel 7 presenter, producer, MC, and most recently TED Talk legend. Welcome to the program, mate.
Mate, just stoked to be here. Thanks so much for having me. TED Talk legend's gone a bit far, but we can dive it in, mate. Stoked. Thanks so much.
Mate, perfect. Last time I saw you was up at the Ridge at Mullaney, and with Channel 7, we were filming a story on the Weekender program.
Yeah.
But I remember having an awesome day with the crew and love the energy you brought, mate. So thank you.
Oh, mate, well, you've got a beautiful joint. I mean, I'm very lucky that we get to go and talk about people's dreams, which I think is the coolest thing ever, because the ideas aren't hard, but the people that get the ideas done, and I get to see that all the time from these lovely people that run farm stays and B&Bs, whatever the business is. And certainly what you guys have created at the Ridge is like jaw-dropping. If you want to go to a nice joint, check it out. No, it's amazing. And it was a great day. Like it was a fun day, and it turned out well, and worked out well for you guys as well, which is the best. Yeah.
No. So if you're looking for a weekend away, get up to the Ridge at Mullaney.
Oh, honestly, like this is something a TV presenter would say. It's bloody beautiful. Like it's a stunning part of the world, and what you've created there, it blends into the environment absolutely beautifully, and luxury personified. If you want to milk out some moments with your family and friends, look no further.
Thank you. All right, kick us off. Let's go back in time. Where did you grow up, Chris, and tell us about some of your earliest childhood memories?
I grew up on the Gold Coast, me and my brother. It was back when, oddly now I'm living in Robina, but we grew up around Robina, and that's when Robina Town Centre and all Robina was being developed. So we were just, off the back of watching Nicole Kidman and BMX Bandits, we were just flying around Robina as it was getting constructed, going through, big pits of clay and dirt and mud, and just having a sick time and just going to the beach. That's what I remember, BMXs and beach.
Yeah. What about siblings?
Brother, he's 2 years older than me, Troy. He's got a health clinic in Toowoomba, and he's a coach, and he's a legend. Yeah, he's one of my best mates.
Yeah. Have you found any patterns or elements in your personality now that you can contribute back to some of those early days?
Maybe. I would suggest I'm kind of like an introvert extrovert. I'm not a massive sort of fan of crowds, or sort of, I wouldn't suggest I'm the life of the party or anything like that, but there's a lot of photos of me like looks like I'm telling stories to a group of kids, so maybe that's something I kind of just enjoyed doing at that time. But I would have suggested I was a bit. It's odd that I get paid to talk essentially now, whereas I think I was a pretty quiet kid. I think Mum was thinking of putting a bell around my neck just to see where I was when I was a kid, like a cat.
What about the teenage years? Is there any academic or sporting accolades or achievements?
Not essentially, mate. I didn't dig school. Primary school was the best. Primary school was just touch footy and tiggy and catch and kiss at lunchtime. That was unreal. What's to hate? But then I went to an all boys private school. Boo, blazers, nothing but blokes. Oh, I didn't enjoy that at all, and I just wasn't super academic. The only thing I was really good at was anything that involves sort of speaking and sort of English, and I was pretty handy at writing. Beyond that, I was poo. And also sporting. No, I was in the relatively top teams for soccer and footy, but nothing crazy, mate. Like I was ultra competitive. Probably my competitiveness outweighed my skill. And so I'd try my ass off, but just not sort of get the biscuits, I suppose. But yeah, that was pretty much it. School was just, I couldn't wait to get out, to be honest.
Yeah, but you went the distance, eh? Went to grade 12?
Yeah, I did. I'm not entirely sure I had the choice otherwise. Or certainly, Mum and Dad, they were working class. They had news agencies, and Dad drove taxis, and Mum did all kinds of jobs. So they stretched themselves to send us to a school Whereas all my mates, like we went on ski trips, like with friends, and like there's no way mum and dad are taking kids to ski trips. So you were just in a different economic strata, even though we didn't necessarily belong there. So the idea of leaving there, like mum and dad put everything into our education, which was dreamy, which was pretty cool. Yeah. I know I don't sound too appreciative now, mum and dad.
Oh, that's right. I had mates who were a similar thing. I was public school educated, and then I ended up getting together with some mates who were private school educated, and yeah, they finished school and went in and became tradespeople and didn't really take into that. What about you? What did you do when you finished school?
It was an interesting one because I wish I'd done a trade, to be honest. Like with a private school, it's almost like it was uni or bust. You know, there was nothing else on offer, really. If you went to a guidance counsellor, he goes, you need to get a degree, and that's pretty much it. There was nothing else on offer. So I went, shit, what am I good at? I went, I'm pretty good at writing, English, teacher, maybe journalism. I just didn't really know. I didn't have like a huge amount of, academic acumen to sort of get me. I could have the choice of, what should I do? It was limited prospects. So I kind of just did a bit of TAFE, and then I finally got into uni. I got a Bachelor of Arts, which took me about 68 years, and mum was happy, gave me the degree, and that was a bit, but is it worth anything? No.
So what uni did you go to?
University of Queensland, which, it was just a lovely place to go and drink heaps of piss and go to toga parties and do all those sort of fun things. We had a fairly conservative upbringing. Mum and dad, they didn't let us do a great deal. And so when we finally discovered booze and girls, well, I'd lent into that, which was a fun time, just hanging out with mates and doing that sort of stuff. In terms of delving into a career at that point, no.
So when did your journey into television first begin, and do you remember what it was that drew you into that entertainment industry?
I'd always been super keen on it, not to the extent of, hey, I'm going to do this as a career, but because mum and dad had a news agency, we would flog all the sort of, I was enamored by all the movie sort of magazines and all that sort of stuff. And I would bring them home and I'd cut out like little movie posters and pictures of actors and all that sort of stuff. So I was just really fascinated by that world, and nothing else beyond that. I just kind of loved it, but I didn't really sort of string anything together. But then when I was in my mid-20s, I went not knowing what I'd do, and I'd been in Brisbane forever and never been overseas. I went overseas to England I was there for like 3 years. Just got the point I just couldn't wait to get away, and I enjoyed the independence. When you sort of, what happened, we had a VW combi, a 1977 VW combi, which was just a sack of shit, and we had to push it we were like a bobsled team. Every time we went to a servo, we had to jump in and push start it somewhere. We called it Chad, and that broke down in Portugal. And what I realized early on is that there's no RACQ, there's no dad to call. You kind of got to go, I got to use my 4 words of Portuguese and get us back on the road. So that was sort of kind of built a bit of confidence then, which was good. And that was probably when I started to go, I wonder what I could do here. What could I do? And then I was working in pubs in England, and a mate, there was some big model competition came to the pub. And so we went to go see one at one neighbouring town. And he said, this is coming to our pub. You should MC it. And I'm not entirely sure why he said it. And I went, no way. And anyway, so I did that, and I kind of enjoyed it a bit, and never putting, 2 and 2 together. And also I've never worked harder than when I went overseas for a holiday, to be honest. So I would work for good 6 months hard in bars and all that sort of stuff. And then we'd go away for like 2 weeks, and the money dried pretty quickly. And I always loved the idea of like getaway and great outdoors and that sort of thing. Working and then to go away, I was thinking whoever gets paid to travel, I just need to do that. And so that's when it really sort of began. I went travel presenter. That's the best gig ever. I got to do that. So then I came back to Australia after 3 years, and that's what I set my mind to try and do something like that.
Yeah. So no formal media training as such?
Nah, I did journalism at uni, and the only subject I didn't fail at, to be honest, was TV journalism, where I had to create my own story. And I went down to the RE, which is the pub I worked at in Brisbane, and kind of really enjoyed it and enjoyed putting it all together. So obviously there was some you know, a bit of luck and a bit of talent sort of involved there, but no media training at all.
So what about, come back to that childhood, you mentioned, did you have were you the kid that was always jumping in front of the camera?
No way. No, I really shied away from it. Actually, I never did. I wasn't the drama kid. I wasn't the actor kid. I'm still a bit surprised that I've kind of went down this path. And the thing was, it was such a ridiculous, far away, almost subconscious dream. I wasn't even aware of it. It certainly wasn't. You wouldn't look at me and go, that kid.
Yeah.
He is going to be on telly.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
No chance.
Because you do hear that sometimes. There are some kids, and from a very, very early age, they're just jumping in front of the camera and the parents have got all the video footage of them and they just go, hey, this guy's going to be a movie star. But you weren't that natural born presenter.
I enjoyed just, you know, like everyone, just talking shit with mates. Like even in primary school, I just enjoyed trying to make people laugh or, you know, telling stories. And that's probably it. Beyond that, not really. Nah.
Yeah. So what about that confidence and that inner belief in yourself that you've clearly got now after many, many years of presenting? How do you think that came about? Has that been built?
Built. Yeah. I remember Tony Robbins said, like, belief is like a table and you got to start with the 4 legs and sort of you get one experience and you build that first leg and you go, oh, okay, well, maybe there's something here. You get that second leg and you go, oh, something's happening, until you get those sort of, you know, experience builds upon experience to the point where you go, I'm all right at this. I mean, I think belief is key for anything you want to achieve, as you would attest to as well. And I also think that's the hardest thing for people to nail. Certainly in my game, in telly and, you know, hosting, all that sort of stuff, like it's a real lonely road and there's no linear progression. You don't get in entry level and then you go, oh, okay, I'll work here for 2 years, then I get up to here. It's all blind luck, faith, and belief is your biggest tool, because you can build the skills and the attributes, I suppose, but the belief, you got to build it yourself, and that's just from doing the thing. And the doing the thing with telly and emceeing and hosting, it's pretty terrifying to be honest. So those early days were pretty scary.
Yeah. So you did that first time in the UK, you did your MC gig, and then you said you came back to Australia and you went, hey, I want to give this a formal crack.
Yeah.
How did you go about it?
I was going to get into acting, so I went and saw like casting directors and I got an agent, got the photos done, and, you know, was trying to go to auditions. And I was probably about 27 at that point, and I was living with my parents and I went to a private school. So all my mates were doctors and lawyers and, you know, earning a ton of money, and I'm, you know, trying to be
living the dream,
an actor, living with my mum and dad, killing it. But I just want to give it a go, you know, like I built overseas like a real sense of, I want to do something different. I want to do something that I could. The idea of working 5 out of 7 days a week in a job you don't really dig, even working 5 out of 7 days a week, makes 0 sense to me. I just don't get it. So I thought, if I'm going to do work, I got to dig it, hands down, and I'm going to have a go at it. And if it doesn't work out, then I have 0 regrets. And so I came back and saw an agent and went about it. And then oddly, you know, synchronistically, which is, you know, something I'm a big fan of, friends from England that we worked with came over to Australia. And for whatever reason, they saw an ad in the paper for a TV presenter on a community TV show, on a show called Gold Coasting. It was an advertorial type thing on some, you know, back channel. Like 4 people would have watched it. And they wanted a TV presenter. It was say, must be presentable, be able to remember lines, good communicator. Anyway, so I drove down the coast, did the audition. I had to learn like 4 paragraphs of something and say it to camera. And so I went, oh shit, okay. And then I did that and I got it. And then I started doing community TV, just me and this guy, Simon, and we would just make stuff up. We'd go and feature a restaurant or a bar or something, and we'd just almost on the spot just make up scripts and shoot stuff and edit and all that sort of stuff. And I suppose that was the first leg of belief. But I remember the first time that I hadn't done any TV presenting before, and I'd got that first audition and I went, shit, I'm a TV presenter. I'm the best. This is unreal. How good.
Made it.
I made it. I'm killing it. But then I actually had to go and do the thing. And we went to Indy and we're trackside. And there's people everywhere. And as soon as you set up a camera and you stand in front of it, people just stop and watch. And so there was already a group of people just looking at me. And I was like dressed up in like branded car shirts. And he goes, in his chicken scratch handwriting, he said, all right, just, you need to learn all this. And it's like 6 different paragraphs and like figures and facts. And I was going, oh my God. And already my heart's going, boom, boom, boom. And he goes, do it as the cars go by. And we don't get many chances at it. So, pardon my French, don't fuck it up. And he goes, I'll be back in a sec. And I was going, oh, I've made a terrible error on this whole TV presenting thing. I was freaking out. Then I thought, I can't leave. I can't go. That was just my choice to, do I give this a go or not? Because the idea of learning all that, I was freaking out. People are looking at me. I was terrified. I hadn't done a lot of camera stuff. But then I somehow learnt it, and he goes, yep, great, let's move on. I was like, oh my God. And then, we just started making telly, and I did that for a few years. And then I got a gig on Bris 31 hosting a car show, and I know nothing about cars. I'd have to interview people, and I didn't even know what questions to ask them because I know nothing about cars. So like, oh, tell me about your wheels, like the worst questions ever. But I just got to, do telly, and that's just sort of built the belief to the point where I thought, without ego, I thought I'm good at this. Do you know what I mean? Like just that belief in like, I can do this. And that's when, I started to get onto Channel 7, which was a dream.
Yeah. So how long was it that you got on Channel 7?
That was probably 3 years of doing and digging holes and labouring and, I'd hand out, perfume samples and Maya, and I worked at Sizzler for a bit, and I did every job under the sun just because community TV, you make no money, but I was doing the thing. And my parents were like, how long are you going to give this TV thing? Make a lot of money, and all those real helpful hints and tips, which was unreal. And all my friends were making lots of money. So it was kind of like, it was a hard period, but I was also doing the thing. And then synchronistically, again, a producer that worked on the car show on Bris 31, which is on the community TV show in Brisbane. I don't know if they do it anymore. She went up to Channel 7 and they had all the shows, Queensland Weekender and Grey South East and Creek to Coast and all that sort of stuff. And she went in there to get some producing work. And for whatever reason, she took my show reel, which was a cut of all the stuff that I'd done thus far. And I'd been stalking every production house and network for 3 years, just sending them stuff. And you don't even get an email back. Like, no one cares. But she went up there, for whatever reasons, gave them my show reel. And a guy had just left, like one of their hosts. And no one ever leaves. I haven't seen a presenter leave. You don't leave. Why would you? And she handed them my show reel, and they called me like 9 minutes later, and I was down at the studio because I was hanging out there the whole time because I just loved it. And this lady said, oh, Chris, we just got your show reel. Do you want to come up and do a story for Queensland Weekender at Channel 7? And I went, who is this really? Oh, someone was just taking the piss out of me. So yeah, then 2 weeks later, I was getting paid to rock climb, and I had a producer. They were handing me a script. I've never seen a script in my life. And off we went.
Any highlights that come to mind through that presenting life?
Yeah. Oh, mate, 1,000. Like just, I'd always said if I can make money, presenting TV, it's a dream because I've been doing it for nothing for so long because I loved it. And then suddenly I'm at Channel 7, I'm getting paid to go all over Queensland. I remember saying to a cameraman, we were on the Great Barrier Reef and we'd had just the most ridiculous day. I'd done so many crap jobs. I couldn't believe I was getting paid to do this. Like I was pinching myself. And I said to him at the end of the day, I said, mate, my pragmatic, logical question during my working day was, should I have another Chardonnay because I've got to go scuba diving? And I said, that was my legitimate question. And I went, bro, come on. And he went, mate, yeah, you're right. I forget.
Yeah.
Because they forget because they've done it for so long. But I'd come from doing the worst jobs. I mean, trying to do it for so long to finally get there and do the most extraordinary things and talk to amazing people was just, yeah, a privilege.
What about a favourite destination?
Whitsundays is hard to beat. Yep. If you haven't been to the Whitsundays, have you been?
Yes.
Man, like that, just 74 islands, the colour. And we've done bareboating trips. I was the bareboating ambassador for the Whitsundays for a bit. Like we did some bareboating trips, and like you moor up like at Hook Island or, near Whitehaven, near Hill Inlet there, and you've got a rosé in your hand and a bug roll and you're playing the music and there's just, the sun's dipping down out of the sky and you pinch yourself going, are we doing this? Like it's an alien landscape. It's so beautiful. You can't even, all the pictures that you see of the Whitsundays and you go, Photoshop. It's legit.
Yep.
That and outback Queensland, you go to a country pub in Quilpie or Longreach and you just feel more Australian for being there. You turn up to because those country pubs, as like the walls tell a story, and you sit down on, a very worn stool and invariably, 3-4 people will say good day to you and talk to you, which is inconceivable in Brisbane or any other city centre. It's the real Australia. And you go out to a place like Quilpie for 360 degrees, there's nothing. Because a lot of the time we shoot a lot of driving shots. So you'll be sitting on the side of the road with a cameraman and there was nothing around. It's eerily beautiful. Yeah.
You mentioned the Whitsundays. We're actually the M26 FIT crew. We're taking a group of people up to the Whitsundays in June, mate. We got a week of kayaking around the Whitsunday Island.
Mate,
so
dreamy.
Looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah. Bear baiting the Whitsundays. I was like doing a multi-day trip like that with that sweat equity as well. Like something it's just mind-boggling.
Epic.
Yeah, epic.
So would you say that pivotal moment so far in your career was when you got that phone call from Channel 7? That's redirected your career?
Huge.
Yep.
Huge. And I think we were talking the other day and just talking about Alex Hormozi stuff, and it looks like you're an overnight success when the three pillars sort of, I know you're a big fan of threes, when the three pillars of attributes, skill and belief marry up. And now looking back, I had the skills, I had the character, and it was at that point where I'd done enough TV that there was no more doubt and fear. I remember driving down the highway. I was almost angry because I'd been stalking people for so long to try and get a network TV gig. And I was angry going, give me a shot. Like I honestly like furious. And that showed where my belief was. When you finally believe without ego, I'm good at this. And I think that's when things
need
turned.
A chance.
I think that's when things turned.
Yep.
And that's when, like, to get on Channel 7. And then I worked full time for them, presenting and producing, and then I knew unequivocally that dreams are real. And then I thought, right, what's the next one? Like the fact that a kid from the Gold Coast with long hair, who barely wore shoes, was getting paid to, produce and present on Channel 7. I just kind of went, oh, this is the thing,
Great story. Now let's take some time and go behind the scenes. What are some of the things the audience at home don't get to see that you and the crew have to endure in order to put a good story together?
I suppose the interesting thing for a lot of people is to realise is that, because we do a lot of multi-day trips, so to shoot a half hour of TV, we'll be away for 5 days. So just recently, it's like if you work in an office and they go around and they go, all right, we need 3 people. Jenny, Craig and Denise, you're all going away in a car for 5 days. So you just spend a long time in close confines and pretty much 24/7 with 3 people, which is an interesting thing in itself, to go and shoot TV together, cameraman, producer and presenter. And so you have to work as a team. You just can't. There's no island. If you've got a producer going, we're doing this no matter what, that won't work. Or if you've got a cameraman who's belligerent saying, nah, I'm going to shoot it this way, it won't work. Or if you've got a presenter who just can't do their stuff, it's such a collaborative event. And sometimes you've got the script, the producer's spoken to the person on the ground, maybe they've spoken to you from Ridge Mullaney, and they've got an idea what's going to happen. They know what the story might be. Then when you turn up, it could be raining. It mightn't be what you thought it was. Maybe 2 of the houses haven't been built yet, and that's out the window. So then you've got to work really quickly and work out what you're going to do. Or I find that when I start talking to someone, you'll just hear, they might say, well, actually, this was a dream of my grandfather to come here and set up the ridge. And, his father actually, and then I'll go, tell the producer, hey, this is a really good angle. And that can just change the whole dynamic of the story and become a lot better. So you work out a lot of stuff on the fly. And you got to work, like we're saying, before we sat down, you got to work quickly. We don't have the time, the money, or the luxury to, go, all right, let's set up for half an hour. We just got to be quick, politely quick, But we always get back in the car and go, how nice were those people? Like, how amazing was that? Like, we're always just gushing over, not only that we get to do it, but we get to tell, we hope, it's a privilege to be able to tell people's story, and we feel the responsibility of capturing that. You don't want them to see their business on TV and it hasn't been, captured in the way that means something to them. We get that, that's the responsibility and the privilege.
It's a good point that you raised, because I don't think a lot of people actually understand that those travel shows, that's it. There's 3 people and they put that entire production together.
Yeah. Oh, and you've got a whole schedule. You know exactly where you're going to be from time to time, and you know that you've got 15 minutes to shoot this interview, and then you've got to drive 2 hours down the road to go to a farm, and then maybe the light's no good and you've got to wait for the light. We went away 2 weeks ago and we were in just outside of Rockhampton, and we were just going to shoot on a farm, and it was absolutely pelting down. And we had to sit in a shed with a farmer for 2 hours just to try and shoot the quickest interview ever. And then we did finally shoot the interview. We were covered in mosquitoes. I was looking at him. I've never seen more mosquitoes on a man in my life. There was like 19 on his ear, but we just had to get the interview done and then jump back in the car. And like, sometimes you just got to stitch it together, and people would never know that it was pelting down rain. That lady didn't want to be interviewed at all. That dog kept coming into shot, like that's a lot of the stuff people just don't really get. It always turns out better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah. That leads me to the next question. So have you got any memories of a horror story when everything went terribly wrong?
Probably rain's hard.
The weather.
Weather's tricky, because you can't really you can't cancel all the time. We don't have the luxury to do that. And also, I can't really give any names away, but as a presenter, I feel the responsibility of, I can't lie. There's got to be a sense of integrity to it, but I also can't shit can a place as well. So there's been a couple of times where I've turned up to a place and I've gone, I don't know about this, And so I've got to be I really got to be measured in, like I said, this is one of the best places you could ever go to, because then I could have someone stop me in the street, which has happened, and go, mate, you said that joint was the best place ever. And it sucks a bit. Yeah. So I can't really say too much about that, but luck, I would suggest there's only probably 2 that I just kind of went, I've got to have a bit of a think about how I present this. And we all did, we just kind of went, this isn't what I said on the box.
No.
And then we can't make it look unreal, because then that's doing our audience a disservice.
Yeah.
And a little bit fraudulent, to be honest.
All right, let's talk health and fitness. When you're away, how do you and the crew stay active?
Well, the cameraman's bloody active anyway. Poor buggers. They're lobbing a lot of equipment. I'm a big fan of. I do a lot of workouts online. There's a thing called Beachbody, and they do a lot of high intensity and weights programs. So I usually take a laptop away. You don't get a lot of downtime, to be honest. But if I can just set up my laptop, and I've got I shift the bed to the side, and if I've got a tiny little bit of space, like 2 by 2, I'll just press play. In 30 minutes, and I'll just get a raging sweat on, and I'm happy. Yeah. And that's good. And I try to be pretty good on a trip, and then sometimes you crack that first beer, and then just all bets are off. And then I was going, you know what, give me those chippies. I'll have the chippies.
What about when you're at home? What do you do to stay fit at home?
Same thing. I'm very active. I've got 2 kids, got a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so that keeps you pretty busy anyway. But then loving walking at the moment, like just a huge fan of walking, not only I just dig walking, like the activity of it. Walking by water and nature, I think is just one of the best things ever. Just immersing yourself in nature, irrespective of how you do it, by kayak, walking or whatever. And also I just get a lot of, for my own mental health, I sort a lot of stuff out. It just sets me up for the day. And then I've just started a weights program, again online, which I've never done before. Actually, I'm really enjoying it. So I've got the bench, I've got the weights, and I'm just digging it. So I'm pretty much doing that sort of 5-6 days a week and loving it. So I'll do that, or, high intensity cardio. Like I've always I enjoy the challenge of it. And I reckon if you're not nervous about your workout, you're not doing it right. And I kind of I dig a challenge in life anyway, and it's the same for my workouts. I just know going in, I don't really want to do this, but I know I'm going to feel unreal at the back end of it.
All right, let's shift gears. You recently hit another level of celebrity status with you're on a TED Talk.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us how that opportunity came about.
Yeah, well, for a bit of context, like I do a lot of emceeing, which is interesting going back to England, and now it's something I do because Channel 7 would throw you out for opportunities, and if they needed someone from Channel 7 to host this tourism thing or that sort of stuff, and they were all terrifying, really. But now it's something that I kind of enjoy. I don't get so nervous about it anymore, so I dig the skill set. I enjoy doing it. And so what's the best way of telling this? So I always wanted to make money online. I'm just a big fan of revenue streams, and I get a little bit nervous about having just one job or revenue stream. And Robert Kiyosaki sort of started me on that sort of course. And anyway, so just before COVID, we started up an Amazon business, my wife and I and my brother-in-law, selling products on Amazon, the US. Anyways, and then there was a company which were teaching people how to sell products on Amazon. I became the ambassador. I don't know how these things work out, but the ambassador for that company. And so I would host a lot of their events. Anyway, I met some amazing people in that were making crazy revenue on Amazon, and also just wonderful humans as well. And one of those ladies, she was playing pickleball. Is an odd story. She was playing pickleball with this lady who's a neuroscientist, and she wanted to start a TED Talk in Burleigh and get a whole host of speakers on different subjects. The tagline was "Humans for Humans," and she was talking to my friend Mandy from Amazon and said, "Oh, we need an MC for the event. Do you know anyone?" She goes, "Oh, call Chris." Anyway, so she gave me a call. We sat down and we started talking about being a neuroscientist. She talks a lot about biohacking and the chemistry of the brain, and how to sort of make the chemical mix up of the brain and your body sort of hum in symphony. Anyway, and then I would talk about spirituality and dreams, because I'm obviously a massive fan because of how my life is shaped out. Anyway, I would talk sort of high level about and just kind of airy fairy about spirituality, but she would bring the science into it, and we'd sort of marry between the two. Anyway, so we got on like a house on fire, and I just found her the most fascinating. She's so smart. I'm not smart enough to work out how smart she is. You know those people where you go, I know you're smart, but I'm not smart enough to know how much. Anyway, she's one of those people anyway. And she said, "Do you want to talk at this TED Talk?" I went, "Oh, bucket list." Like, it's almost come a bit early, to be honest, because that'd be the dream. I would always want to talk about spirituality and thoughts and dreams and manifestation and that sort of stuff. And I said I'd love to. So I had to put together a 10-minute talk, and I can't say anything under an hour, as you may have noticed. But I did that, and they liked it. And then just kind of it was months away, and I was getting real nervous about it because I had to host it as well. So I had to frame up the event, host different activities and events, introduce all the speakers, then introduce myself, and then I've never done a speech, to be honest. I've never I've always spoken on behalf of a thing or an entity or an organization or a business or a TV channel, but I've never spoken about stuff that is personal to me. Anyway, so yeah, I couldn't believe I was doing it. It all went really well. Like the biggest things in my life have all happened quite organically and easily. And that was another one, doing a TED Talk. I'm very proud and very lucky and privileged that I got to do it. Now it's that leg of belief, because I'd always wanted to, speak around the world talking on that subject, and that's just a leg.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, all right, let's build another leg.
Right. Give us a short summary of that TED Talk.
The short summary is, when I got on Channel 7, and I'd always thought about, spirituality and manifestation. I'm a big fan of, you can create a thing by virtue of your thoughts. You can change your life with your thoughts. You can create your own reality with your thoughts. So it's essentially about that, because I saw a lot of psychics before I got onto TV, and all my friends and family were pretty much detracting in terms of what I wanted to achieve. They were ridiculous dreams, you know, speaking and acting and TV. But there was a lot of psychics who said, I see you on TV. I didn't tell them anything. And they absolutely nailed it. And so then I just kind of went, I reckon I'm going to not listen to you guys, and I'm going to listen to you guys. So I just deep dove into all of that world, because I realized it's ignore it at your peril, you know, to be honest. And I think there's a lot to be said for that kind of thing, like even just changing the way you think to change your life. I mean, what a wonderful concept, because if it's true, it's everything. And if it's not true, you've lost out on nothing.
Yeah. So how old were you back with that initial manifestation of that vision, belief, dreams?
Probably around some mid-20s, I'd say. Yeah, just sort of seeing a few. And I would start documenting a lot of things that have just happened in my life when I started thinking about a certain thing. Like there was one example which I stopped writing them down because there were just so many. So I remember for whatever reason, I was walking down the road and I was thinking about the great migrations in Africa, you know, the bison traveling across Africa, or zebra. And I was going, geez, whenever that year was, I wonder if they're still doing that now. Like it's been, you know, it's a lot of roads and highways and built up in Africa. Are they still having the great migration? I don't know why I thought that thought. And I was going, I wonder if they're still doing that, or they just kind of go, oh, we can't go that way because now there's a highway. We can't go that way because, you know, there's buildings. I don't know why I thought it. Anyway, so then I went to the news agency like minutes later, and right on the counter, there was a National Geographic saying the Great Migrations of Africa and talking about how that pans out now. And I said, oh, that's so weird. I was literally just thinking about that. And the guy said, oh, and then he had a 15-minute sermon on, I just read it, and told me all about it. And then it was sitting on a little stand, like it never does, like magazine sitting on a beautiful little stand, like, and just things like that. Once you start tuning in, you just start seeing all the time, like the universe is talking to you and throwing little breadcrumbs and clues. And it just makes life a little bit more fun, which was my dream forever, as opposed to just shaking a fist at the stranger in the car next to you, or typing away and just being this sort of 2D world. I always thought, gee, there's got to be more to it, eh? Like life's got to be magical and fun and mysterious. And they were just constant examples that it was.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, from what you mentioned presentation wise, a lot of that stuff is all done fairly quickly and on the spot, off the cuff. And then now you've been given this presentation, 10 or 15 minute long speech. How did you go about your preparation for that?
Just like anything that I've done, I had to get good at remembering stuff. So I'm pretty good at that because I've spent a lot of time doing it, but I just did it in my head over and over and over again. And even like those early MC things, I was a big fan of, if you start well, you'll finish well. So it's nailing that start. And so before a thing, if I had to host a thing, you'd have to say, hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, well, today we are here, of course, special hello to VIPs and that sort of thing. I'd have to know all those beats. Housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen, smokers, toilets over here, this, there. So our first speaker of today, there's a lot of things I'd have to learn. That whole opening bit, I don't like reading, so I'd have to memorize that. So if I was at a thing, I'll be talking to someone, but I'm not really listening to them. I'm thinking about, having to say that in about 9 minutes time.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with this TED talk. I just broke it up into little phases. I'd memorize the first bit, and I couldn't go to the next bit until I knew that. And then I'd slowly start building the pieces together until I knew it all, and then I could add in the beats and the pauses and the add stuff, and maybe add a little bit, but I couldn't too much for time. But that's pretty much how I went about it. I knew it till I could just recite it in my sleep.
Do you remember how you were feeling when you were on stage?
Unreal. Yeah, good. I think I've gotten better at working out that nervousness is just excitement, whereas it's the same symptoms as excitement, nervousness, like heartbeats. So now I tell myself I'm excited and it's an opportunity. It's a whole different outcome once you do that. So, and also like it's interesting, and even like the way the content of my speech is that you think about your dreams enough, and the universe and life opportunities will take you to that dream. I did so much emceeing and hosting, which when I got to that point where I had the opportunity to host a TED Talk and then do a TED Talk, it was pretty easy to do. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd done so much of it. So I got to actually enjoy it as opposed to spending it being nervous and terrified and then getting home like I've done so many times and going, oh shit, I reckon that went okay. I got to be in the moment and enjoy it. And also I knew that, I was there, by, divine intervention. Like it was just.
You're meant to be there.
I was meant to be there. Yeah. And I just want to enjoy it. And it was good. And I remembered everything. I don't think I stuffed up too much. And that's always nice. Yeah.
What about the feedback? How's the feedback been from close family and friends in particular?
Good. And to be honest, I've been a bit nervous about sort of talking about this kind of stuff because I know there's a lot of detractors about, like, oh my God, the spiritual guy, like manifesting. Because the secret it was good and bad, So I was kind of a little bit worried, to be honest, about showing this side of me, I suppose. But then this opportunity came up and I'm really passionate about it. Like I really think it'd help a lot of people. And the feedback's been good. I don't really look for feedback because you don't really get a lot these days. Like all the stuff that I do is pretty much a bit of a lonely road. I was proud of it and I knew I thought it was good for me, and I know there's room for improvement, but I enjoyed it. But the people that mattered to me dug it. Yeah.
Well, it's a big part of our philosophy, obviously, vision and belief. And I could not agree more. I think that if you can't see it and you can't believe it, well, it's not going to happen.
Agreed. And if you're not thinking about what you want, well, that's a shame. It's because it means that you don't desire anything, or you don't want to sort of change things. And maybe you're just absolutely stoked everything's going well and unreal. Godspeed to you. But I think to sit down and go, what would I like in every facet of my life, and just do a little bit of a stock take and go, what would I like to look like? How would I like to treat my kids? How would I like to treat me? What would I like my body to look like? If I had to say, because I know we've all got our things, but if I had to say how I wanted to look, what would that look like? And if you can maintain those thoughts for an extended period of time and it makes you feel good, the idea of that, and it's aspirational and it feels organic, not like I want that watch. Do you know what I mean? But if you see you doing that certain thing, if you maintain, you've got the courage to maintain that thought, and there's discipline in that, then you'll start getting those little signs. You'll get an email. You see something on the side of a bus, there'll be a TV ad, will come up and say words, and you'll go, and once you start tuning into that, you go, oh, that's so weird. People will say that, oh, that's so weird. I was just thinking about that. And if you maintain that, that's when it starts rolling. Don't you reckon?
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. No, mate, I could not agree more. Now, I know you're a devoted family man with an incredible lust for living your best life. Have you found your energy at home is contagious, and are there any budding movie stars in the making?
Well, my son Jude has been on telly a few times, and he's pretty good. I mean, he kind of wonders why he's not on TV all the time because he doesn't know anything else. I don't know if they're budding TV. I don't know if I'd sort of push him in that direction, but I think the biggest thing is that I'm already telling him that as long as you try, you can do anything, or which I certainly didn't get from my mum and dad. No disservice to them, of course. It's just all you can do is try and do better than the ones before you. So that's been good. And, we try and it was a fairly stressful household that I lived in, and we're very aware of the energy we want to create at home. So we always try and we don't fight, we rarely fight, but we certainly would never fight in front of the kids, we just try and keep an upbeat energy. We're always trying to laugh and, have fun. So that's the biggest responsibility, I suppose. And when your son says, Daddy, can we play floor is lava? And in your head, you're going, shit. But your face goes, sure, mate. That's kind of, I'm aware of that,
All right. What does the future look like for you, Chris? Goals, dreams, what are those visions telling you?
Big goals. Yeah, big goals. Like I want to create my own content. I want to create my own TV shows. I'd like to create various TV shows. I want to start creating my own movies. and docos. Love to win an Academy Award one day.
Have you seen that already?
I've seen it, yeah, for sure. I've actually got a what I call a mind movie, and I've cut together all the things that I want to happen in my life, and I watched that a bit. And a TED Talk was on there, so I've got a few things that now I've gotten better at sort of not thinking, oh, that'll be good one day. Now I act as though it's already happened and reality hasn't caught up to that. So yeah, creating my own content, doing the speaking, I think would love to in that that content and sort of trying to help as many people, because I think that would be the one that would really fill my cup more than anything. It's hard. While being a travel presenter is unreal, and while you sort of, it's aspirational to a lot of people and you get to tell a lot of people's stories, like Rich Mullaney, how much could I be helping more?
Yes.
And that's kind of what I'm really keen to do. And acting, I want to, I've just getting into acting, and it's like, and I see that skill as like anything else, like I sucked at it, I kept doing it, I got better at it, kept doing it.
Leg of the table.
Just another leg of the table. Yeah. So I really enjoy the process. I remember telling my wife, which it must be annoying living with me, like during COVID, I said, I'm going to give acting a go. And then being the best, I don't think about these things. I imagine hearing that during COVID, you got mouths to feed, and she's going, oh, cool, you're going to get into the hardest occupation on planet Earth. Unreal. That's good.
Yeah, mate, I love it. I absolutely love it, and I think you'll go far, mate. Now, quick fire question time. You ready?
Yep.
Favourite workout song?
Oh, Peking Ducks, Say My Name. Also, my son got me onto, even though he's 4, got me onto Imagine Dragons. They got a great song called Natural, which is a good fire-up song.
All right. A book that's impacted your life?
Awaken the Giant Within, Tony Robbins. I remember, and I just listening to that book and his tapes. In fact, walking around Mount Cootha when I had no money, and then it got to the point, and believing that I could be on TV, and then I was driving up to Mount Cootha every day for 17 years, which is odd. And then also Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, it impacted me in a great way in terms of not, working in a job or working for someone, but creating your own thing.
Yeah, your biggest pet peeve?
People talking in movies annoys the shit out of me. And the amount of people, I reckon there's probably like 9 people I've shushed. I remember being at South Bank, and there was this chick talking the whole time, and I couldn't get to her. I waited until she got out. And then I said, hey, excuse me, sorry to bother you, but you talked the entire time during that movie, and you kind of wrecked it, not only for me, but many people around you. I'm just wondering maybe next time. And she was like, it's like I'd thrown a pill at her. Like the look on her face. Anyway, and also people not indicating. Classic. And also, when people go up the side lane and everyone's taking their turn, and then you got those buggers that just cruise up and then indicate and try to get up there. Maybe that's what you meant to do. Are you meant to? I don't know. That annoys me.
I love it. I love it. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would that be?
Oh, good one. I'd love to say something really highbrow, but geez, I'd love to convo with Dave Grohl. I'd love to chat to that man. He's an absolute legend. I think Dave Grohl could be my spirit animal.
Hardest lesson you've ever learned?
Patience and believing in the unseen.
Your favourite saying?
Uncomfortable is where the good shit is.
The most practical advice that you've given to someone?
Oh, practical advice that I've been given myself. And I said it the other day, 90% of people give up when there's 10% of the way to go. It's always darkest before the dawn, that sort of thing.
Yep. Favourite outdoor activity?
Swim in the ocean's hard to beat.
If you could travel back in time, which era would you visit?
60s, 70s. I think to see the freedom explosion during the 60s would have been amazing. And also to see some of the best bands and musicians in their prime, Led Zeppelin, Eagles, would have been the best.
One thing you can't live without?
Oh, I'd say ocean and also water. Just love sipping water.
All-time best movie?
Hardest question ever. I would go A Few Good Men, like the writing, Aaron Sorkin, like nuts, and performances from that cast. Like just Nicholson. Show me something better than Can't Handle the Truth. Like that courtroom scene. And Tom Cruise doesn't get talked about enough because Jack Nicholson was that good.
Yep. If you could learn any new skill overnight, what would that be?
Oh, good one. Guitar.
Favorite season of the year?
I'm going to go spring.
Dream car for not being a car guy?
No. I'm going to go two. I'm going to go Maserati, and I'm also going to go one of the, not the new Defenders, the old Defenders.
Most embarrassing moment on live TV?
It was almost the end of my TV career. I remember it was River Fire. They did live hosting. I've never done live TV before. And I was on the South Bank Concourse. And so there was like crossing between Koshy and Sophie Formica, and they're going, so we're going down to Chris and Laurel. Anyway, there was an old bloke behind me, and we were just waiting. So I didn't have comms in my ear or anything like that. And there was like people everywhere, and there's a big crane camera that's set up to come in and get out. And so I'm shitting myself. But there's an old bloke behind me, and he was tapping me on the shoulder going, get out of the way. Get out of the way, which annoyed me. And then I was going, mate, can you? And I was about to, and I could feel it tugging on my shirt. And when I turned back, the camera was right there, and Laurel had started talking. So I was 2 seconds away from giving it to some old bloke behind me, because they could, like, honestly, that live camera, and I could have gone, mate, can you just? But I felt this, and when I turned around, I went, that's right, guys, it's fantastic down here. Sit for this brick.
All right, if you could swap lives with anyone for a day, who would that be?
Well, again, skill set. I would say Dave Grohl. Like for the respect he has, he's the most humble man alive. And then to walk out with 60,000 people and crank into Everlong and see how that pans out, like energy explosion.
All right, advice to anyone considering a career in television.
Oh, don't give up on that dream. Keep going. Get good. And I say it all the time. The only way to get good at the thing is to do the thing. Don't listen to anyone. Put your dream in a vault in your mind, lock it up, strap it up, and don't let anyone get near it. Maintain it, and you'll get there.
Awesome. I love it. Final question, question 26. Finish this sentence. I believe I and we can do anything. I believe we can do much more than we have been previously told. It's all there waiting for you. Mate, I could not agree more. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate your time, mate. It's been awesome to have a chat.
It's been a dream, brother. Thanks a lot. Rich Mullaney.
Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, we have a small favour to ask. Please take a moment to subscribe, review, and share this podcast with someone you think will appreciate it. Your support helps us reach more listeners, and we can continue delivering content that educates, inspires, and empowers you. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay in the loop with all our latest news. 2024 is going to be a huge year, and we'll continue running our weekly Friday morning kayaking sessions on the beautiful Brisbane River, along with plenty more thrilling adventures, exciting activities, and challenges are planned. We'd love for you to join us and be part of our growing community. Remember, success is all about consistency. And by investing 26 minutes exercising both your mind and your body every day, you too can become the strongest, fittest, and healthiest version of you. So stay tuned and stay active.